Hey YouTube, Rob coming guys here with another Edison deck profile. As you can see in the thumbnail and description, this is an insect deck. That being said, I'm looking at like a lot more solidarity decks and like mono decks to build for the format because I really am trying to push my deck total really high. And yeah, I'm just looking for more advice and more tips on like decks to build in the comment section below, or I'm starting to use the community tab on my channel. So if you guys could find that somewhere, please. That'd be awesome. But here's the insect list. So we got 3 insects Knight and 3 copies of Neobug. These are just vanillas, 1800 and 1900, so they're pretty decent sized. I just wanted them because they have like the stat lines that are like the Blackwing threshold or just generally big. Next is we have 3 chainsaw insects. This is like the biggest normal summonable monster that you can have in Edison format without a doubt. And being in a its own deck, insects, it's pretty strong, especially when you have Solidarity up. It's 32 or 4K if you have both up. So he can get really chunky really fast. And yeah, he climbs over every defense monster in the game, honestly. We have 2 Geragumos. I elected to play only 2 of this guy over any of the other numbers of the other monsters in the deck, just because he is big, and I wanted that. In case he is flipped to book down, that's like whatever, it's like negligible. I just wanted to either have a weak monster I could set to get Solidarity online between these 2, but between him and the vanilla, I'd rather have the vanilla more times than him because I don't want to half my life points as much, just because we are playing a control deck and we have trap cards that pay life points. So didn't want him as much. Yeah. Next is we have 3 Arsenal Bugs. This guy is probably the worst monster in the deck just for the sheer fact that you need another insect on the field. So if like you're attacking with only 2 guys on the board and they book a moon one, then he's only 1,000. That being said, when he's set, he wants like, you want him to be the first monster dead so Solidarity can get online. But when you have Skill Drain face up, he's just 2k. So he is very big, and I at least wanted him in the deck quite a number of times just to be decent. Next is Kokimiro Beetle. This is another one of those monsters that you can just let die quickly if you don't have another insect in board and he just dies. But for the sheer aspect that he's really strong against light and dark decks because he forces them to defense mode immediately when they're summoned, allows you to climb over big monsters like Red MD in the format. So yeah. And then lastly, we have 1 Cross-Sword Beetle. While you control another insect monster, he gets piercing. Any insect gets piercing. So he's in Rage Battle Ox, but for insects. So if you don't have Skill Drain up, and you have like against a Dandy token, that's like 3,800 on 2 tokens right there. So that being said, he's only a 1-up because he's 1,800 as well, so he's not insane. Then we have, this card can be cut for something else, but I like the idea behind it, which is Mother Spider. If you run into a Spirit Reaper and you don't have a Skill Drain, or you run into like a floater in defense, and this card says as long as you have an insect in your graveyard, you can tribute the 2 monsters they have and summon it from the hand. So it's an interesting card. It's a 1-of because it's not great. But yeah. And then lastly, we have 1 Doomdozer. I just wanted like a bigger body monster as well. I didn't want Aztecapede in here, and I didn't want too many Doomdozers just because 1's fine, honestly. It does the job of being big. It's just a dead brick sometimes. So, being said, this is a Solidarity deck, so I wanted at least 2 copies of Solidarity not to be dead early game, but you still have a high statistic of drawing 1, and it just lets you kill them faster. Honestly, I was just playtesting this deck on DB. One of these had my Chainsaw Insect at 32, and it's just like almost impossible to climb that type of stat point. And then we have 2 Book of Moon and 2 back row removal. This needs to be played regardless, just because like you need to be able to make sure your big guys get out there just fine, even though we are playing quite a number of traps still. Last is the traps, quite a number like I just said. So we have Trap Dust Shoot, Judgment, 3 Dark Bribes to go with the Judgment. This just lets you make sure your insects stay alive from D-Prisons or MST on your Floodgates, Heavy Storm from all your cards. I really wanted these cards to be strong. And yeah. Then we have 2 Skill Drain, 2 Royal Oppression, and 2 Rivalry of Warlords. Nothing can be really said about these cards except for the fact that they're just all really insane. Rivalry, not so great if you're playing against like Blackwings, but that's just... You're playing against Blackwings, and hopefully your high stat points should be able to beat that deck alone. And we have just the monster removal traps, which are these 2 and 2 of those. So, yeah, that is the insect deck, guys. There is no extra deck just because we're playing a Solidarity deck. We're playing a mono deck. Honestly, there's no extra deck for this deck at all. I will say, however, just fill it up with 15 cards. They creature swap you something, sure. You can just have something for a just-in-case moment. That being said, though, I think this deck's really freaking good as an anti-meta deck, which I think a lot of the Solidarity decks that I'm working on are anti-meta decks just for that sheer aspect that it's just like big beaters, cool cards that go around the big beaters and such like that. So, that being said, I think my next couple of decks, I think one's actually going to be an Ojama deck, so that's not really a Solidarity deck, but it's just, that's something different, and someone asked me to try to build for them, so I did. I just got to piece the cards together, and yeah, that being said, ooh, okay, cool, insect deck. Insects. All right, guys, hope you enjoy this. Peace.